But the bottom line is, for people out there, there are herbs, there are natural medicines, and I'll be happy to name some of them here, and I'll even name some sources that I don't have any involvement with, just if you want to hear some of that. There are things that you can do to protect yourself from this that are far more powerful than any vaccine, and they're safer and they're even less expensive.
Well, let's go over that in the next segment. It's Mike Adams of the healthranger.org, And again, this is a big industry of suffering and death. That's what the cancer industry is. That's what this bird flu industry looks like to me. I mean, when you find two separate strains in the quote-unquote vaccination, there are big problems. PrisonPlanet.com, Infowars.com. All right, folks, we are back. It's the Alex Jones Show. And before we go back to Mike Adams of healthranger.org, I want to thank another one of our sponsors, Acola Blue. And for PrisonPlanet.tv viewers, I am drinking some Acola Blue right now. The number is 1-800-691-6043 or acolablue.com. That's ECOLOBLU or BLUE.com. The water passes through an activated carbon filter, then a silver impregnated carbon filter, then a reverse osmosis system, then a taste and odor removal filter, and is stored in a tank illuminated by an antibacterial fungal UV light. It's 1-800-691-6043 or acolablue.com. I think it's delicious. I drink it all the time over here. You can see it at prisonplanet.tv right now. All right, back to Mike Adams. And Mike, we talked a lot about the problems in the last segment. Why don't you go over some of the solutions?
Sure, a lot of really great solutions out there that you can use to protect yourself and not become a victim of the government or of modern medicine if such a scenario unfolds. Now, there are herbs called adaptogens that are very useful for balancing and modulating the immune system. If your listeners may know, for example, that in the 1918 Spanish flu, the people who died were those with an overactive immune system. The virus tricks your immune system into overreacting and killing you with what's called a cytokine storm. Now, I don't want to get too technical. I'll just say that these herbs help balance and modulate your immune system while boosting it. And I don't have any financial ties, by the way, with any of these that I'm going to mention. So they're just independent recommendations. But some of those adaptogens that really work are called rhodiola, ashwagandha, cordyceps, which is a mushroom, chaga mushroom, that's spelled C-H-A-G-A, reishi mushroom, and schizandra berries, which are a Chinese medicine. And some of the places that sell combinations of these are BaselineNutritionals.com sells a Super Viragon that's really good. MushroomScience.com sells a number of medicinal mushrooms. DragonHerbs.com and MountainRoseHerbs.com sells something called the star anise herb. That's A-N-I-S-E, star anise. This is the herb that the Tamiflu vaccine is actually stolen from. Some of the active phytochemicals in that herb were then replicated by the pharmaceutical companies. Except the herb is better because it has a lot more synergy from the different phytonutrients. So those are just some sources and some things that you can look into, and you might want to have on hand for whatever happens in the future.
So how do we combat, the mainstream media and these large pharmaceutical industries that seem to have endless amounts of money to dump into advertising, both in print and on television and even on the web? I mean, how do we get our message across?
Well, really, I think it's more important just to protect yourself and protect your family members, the people close to you. Make sure that you can survive a pandemic. Make sure that you don't become a victim of the cancer industry, for example. In my view, no one should ever give in to chemotherapy. There are safer ways that you can overcome cancer. But in terms of getting the message out, some people are willing to listen and some people aren't. And sadly, if there is a pandemic, those people who depend on mainstream medicine, they will die. They will absolutely die because mainstream medicine will not save them. Just like, when it comes to finances, the Federal Reserve and the U.S. Treasury will not save you either. And medicine won't save you. If you want to be safe, whether we're talking about finances or health, you've got to prepare yourself starting right now, because any of these things could happen at any time. It doesn't mean that they will happen tomorrow, but they could happen. These H5N1 viral strains are out there, and they could become a global pandemic at any time.
One of the things you really talk about on your website and when you do these kind of talks is personal responsibility. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I'm a big believer in personal responsibility. I do not agree with the handout mentality. I think that we should all teach ourselves, our children, and each other how to not just survive, but how to be proactive, constructive contributors to a better world. And what really concerns me in our world today is that we see too many people wanting someone else to solve their problems. You know, like AIG today. These money managers are getting millions of dollars in bonuses after receiving billions of dollars in bailout money. It's going to have to be paid by the taxpayers. You know, that's an outrage, and that's an example of what I'm against. Those people should be responsible for their losses. And we, the taxpayers, the hard-working people of this country, shouldn't be out there bailing out those rich bankers who lost all the money and have proven themselves to be incompetent.
I'm 100% with you there, my friend. The website is healthranger.org. His name is Mike Adams. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure.
All right, we'll be back after this. It's the Alex Jones Show.